and welcome back to the program. You're watching Morning Thailand with Phai and Golf. Of course, Kun Phai, as we approaching the end of the year, there's a lot of surveys that has been done by different poll, and one of the most, I would say, popular poll is the Bangkok Poll by Bangkok University. Now, yesterday they disclosed a very interesting survey talking about people opinions on the political tensions that might affect their New Year holiday seasons.
Right.
Of course, at this point, they say that according to these surveys, a lot of people have said that the tension of between at least two big side in terms of the anti-government protesters as well as the supporter of the government have caused them, well, quite a bit of a joy out of the New Year holiday season. Obviously, we don't celebrate Christmas that much, but for New Year, that's when we exchange gift and such.
Yes.
So it's quite a big deal for a lot of Thai people. So they say that normally during this time of year, towards the end of the year, due to the fact that we're going to have a very long holidays from the end of the year all the way to the beginning of next year, a lot of people normally plans to go outside of the capital, but this year it seems like a lot of people from the provinces itself are joining force for the support, the anti-government demonstrators right here in the capital. So they say that at this point, 56.6% of the people surveyed had said that the political tension right here and right now is actually affect their plans to go out in the provinces and travel during the New Year holiday seasons, while 69.1% say that they would like the two sides to join hands, and that would be a great gift for a lot of people in the country as a New Year gift. Now, 62.6% have talked about the countdown event that they would like to at least, have. Obviously, countdown is a big deal. A lot of people would go to different places, count down together, but 62.6% said that this year, they're staying home with their family.
That is a good decision.
Exactly, and they say that also when they talk about whether or not these we call it seven dangerous day, right? Yeah. Because the thing is, normally every year there would be either an accident, several accidents, several deaths. A lot of
people take to the roads to travel.
Exactly. So this year they say that 57.8% believe that is more or less is probably going to be similar to last year, and they didn't think that the government would be able to prevent those accidents from happening. And last but not least, 70.5% has said that they would like to see, at least in 2014, that there would not be different colors. In Thailand.
The end of color demonstration.
Yeah, and that's just one of the things. A lot of Thai people, we ended up doing what we call almost like a sport day event where you have to, differentiate yourself in different shades of colors. Obviously, at this point, I believe that, just like everyone else, the 70.5% of the people, I would say that we want to see that as well.
Yes, of course. And having said that about the countdown celebration, authorities had already reviewed about the big gathering venue for the countdown celebration on New Year's Eve, December the 30th. Checkpoints will be police will be deploying a lot of officers just to safeguard the area and protect people from the incident that could happen. And the big venues that police will be there is first one, the Central World Shopping Center.
Of course.
Yeah, the biggest one here in Bangkok. And the Asiatique on Jerun Brung Road.
Right,
now,
for this
new
year.
place.
Okay.
New Hip Place here. And another one is the RCA.
A pub.
Yeah, right. It's like a complex of the discotheque and nightclubs here, and a lot of people were there. And most of the time, a bad incident happened. You remember the Santika pub?
Right, the fire that took place. So I think security measures needs to be tightened for this year.
Yes, of course. And the rest are the Sanam Luang area and some main temples here in Bangkok. And having said that about the safety measures here, yesterday the acting Prime Minister Kun Yingluck Shinawatra has urged safety measures to be tightened during the festive period in a bid to reduce the number of fatalities and road accidents. The acting Premier has held talks with relevant agencies after the cabinet meeting on the measures to accommodate the Thai holiday makers traveling home during the New Year period. The Energy Ministry has been assigned to ensure sufficient supply of fuel for motorists, while the Public Health Ministry will be in charge of providing adequate treatment to those involved in motor accidents. Meanwhile, the Transport Ministry has announced various measures to accommodate the increasing number of passengers and motorists during the New Year's holiday season. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Kun Somchai Siriwattanachok, made the comment saying that the measure the Ministry has planned this year, including providing various facilities in bus terminals, train stations, piers, and also the airports. The Ministry has increased the number of flights, boats, buses, and trains during December the 27th to January the 29th. Oh, that was long. And he further stated that the Transport Company Limited has scheduled over 21,000 trips for both outbound and inbound bus services, which should be able to accommodate up to 520,000 holiday makers going from and coming back to Bangkok. The Bangkok Mass Transit Authority, or the BMTA, has increased the number of buses serving the 4 regional bus terminals as well. Meanwhile, just to accommodate the increasing passengers during this season, the State Railway of Thailand, or the SRT, has attached 2 extra coaches to each of its trains, which will enable it to handle another 10,000 passengers daily. Aside from that, the agency has added to its schedule 12 more north and northeast bound trips on December the 27th to the 29th, as well as 15 more return trips from the regions on January the 1st to January the 3rd. And authorities said that the Transport Ministry excuse me,
right,
expected that December the 27th was the first day that a lot of people leave Bangkok, and he said that about 50% of the holiday makers will leave Bangkok on that particular date. The ministry has already said that they will be monitor the travel fare that could take this opportunity to increase to hike
and
the
it
fare.
happens every year. That's the problem. A lot of people hike up their tickets prices because take advantage of people who sometimes cannot get the ticket until the last minute.
Yeah, and a lot of holiday makers, or even the people from the provinces that had to go back during the long holiday period there, and they need to go back no matter how high the prices of the tickets are. So the punishment will be introduced on people who violated the regulation. Earlier, the fine was just 100 baht if they fined anyone took this opportunity to hike the ticket fares. Now the fine has been increased to 5,000 to 10,000 baht. And that's really a lot. And apart from this particular issue, there will be monitor the bus and van services that takes a lot more passengers than they could hold. Because problem of overcapacity or just overcrowded vehicles sometimes lead to unfortunate incidents.
That's true. All right. Well, at least watch out for that, because obviously the Transport Ministry has already said that this is not something that it is acceptable for the ministry itself and for anyone, for the consumers who have to pay that much of a price.
And just a little bit here, Kunkov, the police said that 3 measures that will be there will be monitor 3 people who violate this particular, not 3 people, excuse me, people who violate this particular 3 measures here. First of all, the drunk driving case, speed driving, and people who did not wear helmets while riding motorcycles.
That's good.
Because most of the time, the incident involves the motorcycle riders or drunk driving.
That's very true. All right, moving on to something that very excited for a lot of Thai people, but it seems to be forgotten, is the fact that today there will be the first day of the auction for the digital TV channels. Now, starting early in the morning today, this is going to be at the Cat Telecom building in the Bang Rak district. They say that starting early this morning, for today at least, 7 of the HD channels will be granted licenses. Now they say that in this particular case, 7 licenses will be given to the high digital channels. And at this point, 9 companies have already voiced, or 9 contenders have already said that they will join this particular auction, which the bid start at 1.51 billion baht. And the auction, this is how they do it.
Goodness.
Each time that you press to bid for this particular channel or the 7 licenses, you will have to increase 10 million each time. Meaning that if you press it once, that's you're contending
Go
with the
by
other.
10 million
Exactly.
each time.
So it seems like, I don't think that's a big deal for a lot of the companies. Obviously, they are prepared for this. A lot of the media mogul are actually are the one of the 9 contenders. Now they say that for this morning, the registration time starting at 8:30 and the auction time will be at about 10:30. And if you would like to actually take a look at this particular auctioning and to see, obviously they're trying to make sure that they promote transparency in this particular case as well. They say that you can actually watch it on Thai PBS. It will be available for a lot of people for that. And they say that apart from that, there will also be another tomorrow for the SD. And that starts at 380 million. So that's a little less for, if you would like to take a look at it. However, overall, they say that of course, there would be a children education channel, they call it, as well as news channel. Now, there's a little bit of, a commotion in terms of, or at least a conflict in terms of discussion, how much of the news content is supposed to be the channels have to produce, as well as in terms of education channel. There's a type of programs that you need to be allocated. And plus, in terms of this auction itself, they say that each of the people that got the license, for example, the 7 licenses today that would actually be auctioned off, they say that you're not going to operate full 100%. There would be a 10% that you need to pretty much rent out for someone else who might not be able to bid for these particular channels. Because,
very generous.
Well, the thing is, they want to create a fairness, because otherwise it's going to end up being only
the sole
top
operator.
Exactly. And that's going to, at this point, they say that MCOT is one of the contender, the GMM Grammy, of course. There will be Channel 5 bidding for this. So several,
big mogul.
Exactly, that will be joining this particular incident. So Thai PBS today, if you would like to take a look at the auction, how it's done.
Yeah, very interesting, because this is the first time that we have a bidding for digital TV here in Thailand, and the figures will come as a shock.
Yeah, I want to see, because it started at 1.51 billion for the HD. Want to see how much it's going to go at this point.
Now, just to wrap up this particular session here, there was a report of a commotion yesterday in front of the Thai-Japanese Youth Center on Din Dang Road, where earlier the PDRC protesters had already gathered there to surround the place in order to prevent the political parties to feed in to register for general election candidacy there. Now that the PDRC had already went back to the Rajadamnern rally site, another group had already paid a visit to the venue yesterday. The Network of Students and People for the Reform of Thailand, or the NSPRT, hundreds of protesters led by Kun Nitithorn Lamlua began encircling the youth center early in the morning yesterday after they learned that EC began registering party list candidates following the pullout of protesters from the PDRC, as called by Kun Suthep Suban. The NSPRT protesters clashed with anti-riot police briefly when they tried to storm into the office. When EC officials were working on the registration, there were reports of police officers being attacked and injured in this particular incident as well. They said that bottles and bricks had been thrown but ended briefly when the police agreed to allow the protesters into the office. Kun Nitithorn Lamlua later asked that the EC officials stop the registration process and leave the venue, saying that they did not want to have the election before national reform would finish. Protesters later on escorted EC Deputy Secretary General Kun Somsak Suriyamongkol and other officials to leave the building for the adjacent Labour Ministry for safety reasons amid whistleblowing by the protesters and shouts. Now, there has been a report yesterday coming from the Department of Special Investigation, or the DSI. Kun Tharit Phengdit said that they had officially asked the criminal court to revoke bails of 9 leaders of the People's Alliance for Democracy after finding their involvement in the current anti-government demonstrations. Kun Tharit said the DSI had asked the court to revoke their bails after they violated the temporary release condition that they would not involve in political parties. But investigations show that they did not comply with the court's condition. That prompted the DSI to ask the court to revoke their bails and put them back in prison. All the 9 PAD leaders, core leaders actually, faced terrorism charges when they led protesters to Nsoko Suvarnabhumi Airport back in 2008. However, the 9 people in the list did not include Kun Sunthi Limthongkul, neither Kun Jamlong Simung, just other co-leaders, include namely Kun Amon. I couldn't remember his surname.
Okay.
But he was one that was actually got on the stage of the NSTRD here.
Right. So at this point, I think we're going to have to wait and see how this is going to go, because one group left, another group came. So that didn't really help out with the situation.
Some people said that was a tactic.
So it was always planned. All right, let's take a short break, because when we come back, I have a little bit more updates in terms of the drawing of numbers. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for the Election Commission to do so, but it seems like they do have plans already. And of course, Kun Phai will talk to you a little bit about the Prime Minister's proposed Reform Council, so please stay tuned.